I started reviewing albums in the middle of 2017. I want to say, yeah, the first album review I did was May of 2017 when I reviewed Linkin Park's One More Light, so it has been over 6 years since I started doing album reviews, and they slowly moved off of this channel onto a channel that I made last year called Austination TV Reloaded, where that channel was strictly for the album reviews, so I can focus on making the content that I wanted to on this channel. However, I found out something about myself the past 2 years. I thought music was just slow. It turns out I'm just not as into music as maybe I thought I was. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love listening to music and new releases, and if it's a band or artist that I care about, I will definitely get excited for it. But when we talk about being an album reviewer and all this kind of stuff and a critic, you have to review what you want to review, but then there's also things that you feel forced to review because they're big, and I did this a lot with bands and artists that I didn't necessarily want to do a review on, but I did it anyway. And recently, this year, I've just gone, other than a couple times, so long in between each album review. I think in January we started with Måneskin, and then didn't have one again until February with Paramore, and then March with Fall Out Boy. And I think my last album review I did was probably in May on the Reloaded channel. I can't remember at this point. It's been a long time, and sure, there's been stuff that's coming out that I'm listening to, but I just don't have the motivation to basically give full reviews anymore. And I mentioned this, my Reloaded channel at the end of the year will be shutting down. I'm not going to delete it, I'm just going to stop posting on it, because mainly what I want to do from here on out is kind of revive bringing the album reviews back on this channel, but I don't plan on doing them so often. Like, it could be less than 10 album reviews a year, depending on who's releasing what, but I feel like at this point I don't want to leave that channel blank for so long that people start to question whether or not I'm going to even be reviewing albums anymore. I still want to, just at a very much slower pace, and I feel like putting them back on this channel will help me out a little bit, and doing them in kind of a different format than what I've been doing for 6 years. Basically, it's been the same format. I give you my favorite, my least favorites, talk about it a little bit, elaborate on some of the songs that I like and don't like, and then give you a rating out of 0 to 10, and you know, that can only get you so far for so long. And I think too, I get a lot of my negative comments on those album review videos, and it just makes me less motivated. Like, I don't know if you've realized, but I've kind of stopped responding to bad comments on my album reviews, because there's no winning in that sense. There's no, talking with people and being able to, I guess, have a meaningful conversation. If I don't like an album that they like, they have to come after me and make me feel bad about it. And that just really, really just messes with my confidence, with my self-esteem, My anxiety and depression has been so bad this year that I just don't need to see or deal with that shit anymore. And I think that's been the main reason that I've been so hesitant to even do a lot of album reviews. Not necessarily, oh, what reaction am I gonna get from, the fans of these bands or artists, but just overall, like, what shit am I gonna have to deal with now? Because even when I give albums good reviews, there's still always feedback like, a 7, I would give this a 9. What the hell, are you stupid? It's like, I don't know what I have to do to be able to level things out, but it just could never happen. And also, there's just not a lot music-wise that I care about anymore. I'll be the first to admit, I'm so out of touch that I can't keep up with it. And I don't want to keep up with it, because a lot of what I know is popular, I don't want to listen to. There's so few in the mainstream that I can get into. Like, I'm still going to review Olivia Rodrigo's album late in the year and Post Malone's album late in the year. Like, those two, sure, there's few of the pop stars that I actually like that break through the mainstream. But other than that, most of it to me, just, I can't sit through it with one song, let alone a full album if I'm asked to review it. And that's the reason I stopped, taking suggestions for what new releases I should review, because then it was one of those things where it's like, well, they're telling me to review this, so it must be good, and then it turns out not to be good, and it's like, well, it's not that I don't want to hurt that person's feelings, it's just I know that sometimes when I don't know what I'm getting myself into, I tend to not pay attention a lot more because I just don't care. I think one of my album reviews that I'm disappointed myself in, not for a rating that I gave it, but just overall the lack of research I did, the Foo Fighters record, I kind of missed out the part where a lot of the songs Dave Grohl wrote for that album were not just for Taylor Hawkins' fallen bandmate, but for his mother, who sadly passed away apparently not that long ago, and people were getting on me for that and whatnot, and it's just like, man, I'm just really out of it. I'm not paying attention much anymore, and that's just where we're at with the album reviews. Like, I still want to do them after the year's over. The Reloaded channel will be defunct, and the album reviews will be back on here, but I can't promise you one album a month. Like I said, one year it could be 20 album reviews, the next year it could be like 6 or 7. I don't know. It just depends on who I want to listen to and who's releasing at what time, and a lot of these album reviews could be spread out within a couple of months of each other. So hopefully you all understand that this needs to change for me. I need to kind of slowly take the album reviews out of my life because they take a lot. You gotta understand, I gotta listen to an album 2 or 3 times, and if it's an album I don't like, then that's when it gets just really frustrating, and I gotta have the time to do it. And recently I just haven't had the time to do a whole lot out of, I'm gonna do this on the weekend, do this on the weekend, and whatnot. Most of the time, that's my only free time, so I don't care about listening to an album that I'm probably not even gonna give a shit about in the end, whether I like it or not. So, yeah. Now, the big question I think people ask is, what about your year-end list? And don't worry, those will still be a thing. I'm still going to do the best and worst albums of this year as I do every single season. I might lower it from 10 to 5 though for each list because I'm probably going to be listening to less than 20 projects this year. But at the same point in time, we'll see, because I have actually listened to more than I've reviewed this year, so maybe I can toss some albums into there, and that's how the year-end list could look going forward, is you might only see me review 8 or 9 albums on the year, but I may have listened to some behind the scenes and can put them on the best and worst list because I did listen to them, so I basically, know what they sound like and where I want to put them and all that. Plus, instead of trying to do the albums that I didn't review in one full video, I can kind of give that to you in short form when doing the year-end list. I can do it quick and be like, this is what I thought, this is why it's here, all this kind of stuff. It makes it easier on me in that way. So yeah, that's basically what to expect with the album reviews going forward. They'll be back on this channel starting January of next year, and we're just going to kind of ride out the Reloaded channel for the reviews that I have planned for this year, and then we will completely be off of that channel overall. But yes, thank you for those that have stuck around when this started as a sports channel to, the album and music stuff to what it is now. Now even the journey back to putting the album reviews on here. I know it's a big change, and I know the content that I'm making can vary so much that, you might not be into it. I'm just happy that you guys decided to stay and see me continue building my channel and making content that I have frankly been very happy with lately. But yeah, that's basically it for me. Hope you guys understand, and if you do, thank you for understanding. And until then, I will catch you all in the next one.